mornings with Aggie here on 531 a PI. We're sitting at 11 minutes past 7 o'clock, and today it's election day in Tonga. We're close to 60,000 Tongan voters will go to the polls to elect 17 people's representatives, and that's from a total of 73 candidates, while 33 nobles will elect 9 noble representatives. So joining us now to have a bit of a talanoa about that and what we can expect from today's elections is Tongan Advisory Council Chair, Melino Maka. With that I say, malorele, welcome to the show. Melino, you've got your microphone is on mute.
It must be early morning, Aggie.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the asking to be part of this, because I always have interest in politics per se. Not so much because I want to involve in politics, but just I'm more interested in policies, not only in Tonga but also here in New Zealand, and that's why we in the Tongan Advisory Council we really trying to dig into the substance. You know, that's what will have impact on the people here and also back in Tonga.
Yeah, no, malo pito, yeah. Melino, before we get into the talanoa, our aim here at 531 is always just to check in with our guests before we start. So would love to know, how have you and your family been though during the lockdown?
It's really hard, but I actually for the first few weeks of the lockdown before the vaccine roll out, I sort of dig myself into gardening. And people think that I'm a bit overkill on gardening, because I enjoy, and often in the summer I have a display of flowers like sunflower, and most of the people, they used to come and really can see the help them with their own self. They feel good about it, and quite often a lot of Tongans Pacific days to come, because I live in the area, and Norihanga is mainly Palangi, and they used to think that I'm the gardener for but anyway, it was really good. But this is a difficult time, and it's unprecedented, and I often think about the pandemic in those some in 1919 in Tonga, and then some of even my grandmother's his husband passed away during that. And I often think, if we were struggle with dealing with the COVID-19 here, I just wonder what happened to those challenges that our great grandparents and grandparents had to deal with back in the 1900s. Anyway, but the whole COVID-19 changed our life, and I think that there will be a lot of research and be looking into this, and we'll try to devise something that prevent for the future. But sadly, there's still a lot of people who actually don't believe in the current vaccination, and I just can't believe why we actually caught up with it.
Look, hey, thank you for letting us know. I'm glad I might have to get some tips from you in regards to gardening too. But as we get into the talanoa, because I know time is upon us, Melino, just want to know, what can we actually just expect from today though, from the election there in Tonga?
I think that, to be honest, I think it's a bit of a lottery, and if you look at the democracy like in New Zealand, we always have a opinion poll, that you actually test the view of the people against the parties or and with policies. But in Tonga, like I just sort of keep trying to look for anything of new. But if you look at candidates, some of them is very impressive in terms of the academic qualification, But some of them has been running for, 3 or 4 elections, and you can see there's a deficit in Tonga in terms of the new people with new ideas, and I think that all I can say, I'm hoping and praying that whoever the people's who will decide on, they actually can deliver some some good. Because if you look at the news in Tonga, it's nothing to be looking forward to. The economy through the pandemic, the Tonga been shut their border since in March 2000. And eventually, some of the businesses that I used to work with in Tonga, they eventually just they died, and this is going to be the challenge for the next government. Whoever is going to be in government, they need to start to think about that, because they can't putting a blanket, a ban on people movement, because even with the last 22 months, there were no cases in Tonga, but they still curfew at 8 o'clock, and you can't just keep pushing that on people, because sooner or later, that unless you want to enforce the martial law in Tonga, and I think there will be a very big mistake for the future government in Tonga.
Thank you for that, Melino. If you're tuning in, we are catching up with Tongan Advisory Council Chair Melino Maka about Tonga's election taking place today. When we think about our elections there in Tonga, the current challenges that you think that our kingdom is facing, maybe share a little bit of what those challenges may be and how you think this new parliament or government is going to tackle that.
Yeah, it is, and I think it's not only that my biggest worry is you're going to deal with the younger generation, because there's each year there are hundreds and hundreds of young Tongans be finishing off from secondary school, and they'll be looking for something, to just their vocational training, or going to apply for to go either to Fiji or somewhere in the Pacific for just to continue their training or come to New Zealand. But with the current environment with COVID, it will be a big challenge for them. So that's where I see the problem with the next government. How are you going to put policies that actually can serve the interests of the younger generation? Because it's let's say it's I don't want to sounds a bit negative, but I observed this thing for a long time, and even when the new government came in, because I used to work for the previous government before they changed to democracy, and then I was asked to work with the very first democratic government for the Prime Minister Fakatalanoa. But I just sort of pleased to come back to New Zealand, because I was frustrated with the way that they interpret rule and regulation and policy. So I think the biggest challenge.
Can I ask Melino then? There's our families back in Tonga, but then we have us here, the Tongan Diaspora. Do we even have a role in playing into this election, or no?
Yeah, I remember when Akilisi was still alive, and he used to travel back here. The actually popularity of Akilisi and push him to recognize internationally as a champion of democracy was through the New Zealand diaspora, and there was a huge follow, and some of the people in Tonga who actually piggyback Akilisi because of his popularity. And now that he's gone, and I think this, if you look back in Tonga at the moment, there's a lot of there's a leadership deficit, and they're trying to fight even Akilisi's son and some of the key people that was close to him. They will fight amongst who's going to take over the role, and I think there's one of the mistakes that the late Akilisi didn't actually identify someone to take over the party especially when he found out he was having some health problems, and I think we can see now that there's a lot of possibility that some of them some of his party will not be returning, But at the same time, then maybe it's a good thing that there's some new blood coming in from, but it's dependent on how the electorate are going to respond to some of the new blood. Because I remember we did the first opinion poll in Tonga, and there was a lot of stuff that we actually found out about the real, because quite often people talk about a certain person, but when they disclose their opinion in the survey, we can see that there's not the true reflection of what they were saying. So, but I think we need to be patient, because democracy in Tonga is very, very early stage, and I think the next government in the role of the diaspora here need to help some of the politicians in Tonga, and also at some stage I hope the Tonga will open up, it allows some of the Tongans here to have some input, because that's the only way that you can actually improve, by allowing some of the Tongans from overseas. But the only thing that we've got to have to be careful is often Tongans from overseas, they're quite radical.
Yeah, well, that's
and some of their ideas might be, be hard to accept back in Tonga. So it is a long journey, and we need to be patient, and don't have your expectation high, because you end up quite disappointed. I think we need to do is just work behind the scene, try to influence the policymaker in Tonga, try to show some example of what we achieve in New Zealand, and then the stuff that you adopt in Tonga should be promoted, and the stuff you can adopt in Tonga, there's a lot of sensitive stuff, and we got to be mindful of that.
Apologies, Melino. I know time is upon us, but I just quickly want to ask, though, where then can someone maybe just follow the elections? Is there any way we could actually see what's happening today?
It is hard, because I try to email some of the key people that I know in Tonga, but there is, it seems to be like a secrecy. I even tried to contact the Radio Tonga. I haven't have a reply from them. Okay. So I suppose that the best way to do is just try to follow the social media. It's quite often that some people in the social media will provide us with up to date. But it is I think by 9 o'clock tonight in New Zealand time, because we're the same time in Tonga, we'll have a fair idea who the likely candidate. But the interesting one is to have to watch is Tongan Diaspora 1.
Okay, that's the one.
Tongan Diaspora 1 is Aglisi's son, and then also Ikan Daliai and David Puroka. They actually running for the same thing. And it will be really, really interesting to see. And some of the electorate is quite predictable, but if you look at Tongan Diaspora's 3, like the current Minister of Education, the Honourable Sovaleni, is predicted he will win, because I think I watched some of his followers quite they're quite excited about him. But I think that the rest is just up in the air, and we're gonna have to wait till 9 o'clock tonight to see some of the results.
Yeah. No, well, look, Melino, sorry, I wish we had more time to talk about a little bit more, but I do appreciate just you giving us a little bit of an insight into the elections, and hopefully, like you said, the results come out and that they are good, and it will be good for our kingdom. So malo pito for joining us this morning.
Malo pito.
No worries. That was Melino Maka.